guys, I'm excited to finally be filming this video. Now, I know this is like kind of old news in the makeup world, but here we are because I am late. I had COVID, and then right after COVID, when I was pretty much recovered, we went to Canada for a wedding, and I actually brought this collection. I brought this palette, which is the new Blend Bunny palette. This is the All Done Up palette. Now, there are other things in the collection as well that I will show you, but if you haven't already seen this palette, I'm sure most of you have. It is a beautiful, stunning neutral palette that still has some color to it, and it is just, I love it. It's so pretty. So this was like the perfect palette for me to bring to a wedding, and I did wear one of these on the wedding day itself. I'll show you some pictures at the end of the video of the look that I did. I also have filmed another look that I will also show you at the end of the video, but let's just kind of run through the collection. So all of these things are available already. The collection also comes with 2 liquid lipsticks, which these are actually really nice, and I am not a fan of liquid lipsticks, I'll be honest. I feel like back when the liquid lipstick craze was everything, I liked liquid lipsticks, but I always felt like they looked better on other people than they did on me. And I think it's because I have extremely dry lips at all times, and I also just, I don't know if it's because I'm just not very good at drinking or eating with something on my lips, but they just never wore gracefully on me. Like, they always started getting really crusty and looking really bad, but I feel like this formula is like an upgraded lipstick formula. These are actually really nice. It's super thin, and I do feel like they wear off faster than liquid lipsticks normally do, but that's a good thing for me because it means that you're not going to get that kind of crusty, yucky, disgusting lips with these. So I like the fact that they're not super long lasting. At least for me, they're not. So I just wanted to throw that out there, but they might be longer lasting on you. It just depends on your lips and your lip chemistry, and everything wears differently on different people. But where I was going with this is I really like this formula. I think it is really nice. I'm going to put on one of them in a little bit. It also comes with 2 lip liners, which are wonderful. I love this formula. I love the color. If you have tried the BK Beauty lip liners, these are quite similar. They're very creamy. They're quite long lasting. I would say that these are more longer lasting than the liquid lipsticks. I've worn them kind of separately, and I've worn them together, and I've tested it out. I also brought these on the trip to Canada, and so far I really like them. The collection also comes with a gel liner, which is really nice. I mean, it's your basic black liner. I don't really have any complaints about it. I think that the way it's packaged, it's got a little extra seal on top, which is probably going to help with the longevity of the product so that you're not going to have to start reviving this, because I feel like it's not such a creamy formula that is going to dry out fast. Sometimes I feel like with formulas that are super creamy when you first get them, that's when like a little red light starts flashing, and I'm like, uh-oh, like how long are these gonna last? Because if they're starting out this creamy, it's probably because they're gonna dry out pretty quickly. At least that's just kind of like my thoughts ever since trying the lethal ones. But I feel like the consistency of this is a little bit like the Inglot ones. I don't know if you've tried the Inglot pot liners, but I feel like this is quite similar, and I feel like it's going to stay this way for a while. That's just kind of like my guess. I don't know. Obviously, I've only had this for a short period of time, but so far I really like it. It performs like a black gel liner would. I mean, I don't really think I need to elaborate any further. So we're gonna go ahead and play with this collection. So I was looking at this being like, which colors have I not really used yet? And I think this first row is a row that I haven't used. I have used the silver, which I absolutely love. I haven't used the pink one. And I was like, well, which row is the pink really gonna go the best with? And I feel like it's probably this cool tone row. It could definitely go with this row as well, since that's where it's like placed, but I really want to use some of these shades here together with the pink and probably the silver again. Honestly, the silver shade in this palette is my favorite shade in the palette. It's so pretty, and it's just, the shimmers in here are different than the other shimmers that she has in her older palettes. I feel like these are smoother. They're easier to pick up on a brush. They apply really nicely. They're really sparkly, and they just look beautiful. And when they hit the light, I got so many compliments on my makeup that day, and everybody loved this shade. So we're definitely going to use it again. I really want to showcase it, so that's what we're going to go ahead and do. First, I am going to put on a lip product though, and I feel like since we're going to be using the kind of pink shades, I'm going to use the pink lip liner with the pink liquid lipstick so you can see what that looks like. The only thing that I wish for myself is just that the lip liners matches the lipsticks, but the lip liners are a bit darker, which I know most people prefer that, but for me, I prefer something that's like kind of matchy because I don't really like ombre lips on myself because I feel like with my lip shape it just looked kind of weird, but I'm gonna go ahead and apply these. Just do want to mention that I am wearing a lip mask underneath. I have blotted off most of it, but if the lipstick doesn't look as matte as you would probably expect, that might be why. So this one is in the shade Doll Face. So I really do like the color of this. I think it is beautiful. And I guess the lip liner does go with the lipstick, but again, I just wish they were kind of the same color. So next time I use the liquid lipstick, I'll probably use a lip liner that's a little bit lighter, but for the sake of this video, since we are playing with this collection and reviewing this collection, I wanted to use them together, but I mean, they obviously look really nice, and it's just a personal preference thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by priming my eyes with my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base. We're gonna get into this. I'm excited to play more with this palette. I think that they did such a good job with the color story on this. I don't really have any complaints with it. I feel like it's just very nicely curated. I love the way that Blend Bunny sets up her palettes with, you know, the very light mattes to the very dark mattes. That's just the way that I like to do my makeup. Even though I don't really dip into the super light mattes very often, but they do make for nice blending shades and nice transition shades. So I'm not really mad about having them in there because I feel like you can definitely make them work, and I'm gonna try to use some of the lightest of the shades in here just to kind of show you how I would use it. So I'm gonna start with the Blend Bunny B1 brush, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix these two shades because I wanna have a bit of a lighter version of this. So I basically just tap into both, and I'm just gonna put it on my eye as my transition shade. This is going to be a very light gray shade, but imagine if I hadn't mixed it, it would have been basically a white, but that's not what I was going for. I wanted just a very light gray that I could use as my transition shade, and it's sort of a gray that has a little bit of purple to it, and I think it's a very unique shade. I don't usually reach for grays, but every time I do like how it looks on me. So it's just one of those colors that I feel like I don't give enough love because honestly I feel like it suits me pretty good, but I do have a very neutral undertone when it comes to my foundation and stuff, so I feel like that's probably why. And I think if you have a cool undertone, grays like this or colors like this in general are gonna look really, really good on you. So I'm just gonna do the same on this eye as well, and then we're gonna only use the like mid-tone gray on its own to deepen this up a little bit so you can see the difference between when I'm mixing them and when I'm not mixing them. So I'm gonna take the shade called The Look, which like I said is the mid-tone one, and I'm just gonna start putting that on the outer corner of my eye as well as into my crease, and you can see that's definitely darker. It's a very interesting color. I really don't think I have this color in any of my other palettes, and I'm not sure I've ever seen a color like this in particular in a palette because it's not just gray. It's got like a very unique kind of blue purple undertone to it that I really like. Just gonna start winging this out a little bit. I do want to have some more shape on this, and I think I'm also going to deepen this up with the black. I think that's going to be the plan. I actually don't think I've dipped into the black in this palette, which is, I know, shocking because I love black eyeshadow, but it just happened that the looks that I've done, I just didn't really want to use the black, but it's because there are so many other deep mattes in this palette that I don't really ever feel like I needed the black. I'm just gonna take that same shade and run that all the way under my eye. Now, the looks that you're gonna have seen me do with this palette or have used this palette in are gonna be quite basic, but I don't know. Those are just kind of the looks that I've been feeling lately. I feel like I go through phases. Sometimes I'm like, oh my god, let me do all the graphic liners in the world, and then other times are just kind of like this where I'm like, I just want to do a basic eyeshadow look that I know is gonna look good. And that's totally okay, and I think that's what's so fun about makeup too, is that you can just do different things every single day, and it doesn't matter what exactly you do as long as you're enjoying it and you're feeling good. And sometimes you don't want to experiment all the time. I'm gonna switch to my BK Beauty brush. This is the A504, and I'm gonna dip into the black shade, which is this one. And I'm just gonna use that to deepen this up. I do want this to be quite smoky, so I'm gonna go pretty heavy with this. Mostly gonna keep it in the outer corner of my eye, but I am gonna blend it into my crease a little bit. I would say that this is a pretty user-friendly black. It doesn't go on like extremely intimidating. It's more of a very dark gray unless you really pack it on, and then you can build it up to be a nice black. So I would say don't be afraid of this one. It's not going to get out of hand as much as maybe some other blacks would, because I'm having a very easy time just kind of maneuvering this and blending it out and making it do what I want it to do without it really taking over the look. I think I'm fairly happy with this. I don't think I really want to fuss with it too much more. I'm going to take just a little bit underneath my eye. I don't want a lot of this, just to kind of help make the outer corner a little bit smoother. Next step, I'm going to use some of my NYX glitter primer, and I am going to be covering up probably most of this black that I have on my eye here, because I do want to really showcase the shimmers. So even though it looks like a very dark look right now, it'll definitely lighten up quite a bit once I get the shimmers on, because all of the shimmers in here are pretty light, which I like that for myself. So I'm gonna start with the pink shade actually, which, like I said, I haven't used that yet, and I think it's just gonna look really pretty with this look. This is the shade called Wink. And I'm gonna put that on the middle and drag it over the black. And I think that over the black is gonna look a little bit more silver maybe. So I'm not sure how the silver is actually gonna look next to this. But do you see how smooth and how sparkly this formula is? It's absolutely stunning. I honestly might just use this all over my lid, because I feel like the silver is gonna kind of throw it off a little bit. And it's honestly not looking as pink on the eye as I was sort of expecting, because in the pan it looks extremely pink. And it could just have something to do with the lighting that I'm looking at it and the angle that I'm seeing it from. But I do feel like on the eyes it's looking a lot more just silver, but it's still a beautiful color. So we're just going for quite a smoky neutral look today, which I am not mad about. I think this actually looks really pretty. And this really is the perfect palette for like special occasions if you want to wear, you know, like neutrals, but that are kind of exciting and are just easy to work with, very long lasting. Like that is one thing I will say about these shimmers, is that the longevity on them is incredible. I haven't had any problems with creasing or wear or anything like that, and I wore these for a very long period of time and they just looked beautiful all day. So I think this is where I'm going to leave it. I was expecting more of a kind of pink look here, but I'm not mad at this at all. Like this looks so good. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and finish off. Let's do some highlighter though, since I have it in front of me and I kind of know what I want to use. And I think I'm just gonna use probably this one in the middle. This is the Noctilucent palette. I mean, everybody knows that by now because I can't stop using it. So I'm just gonna take, let's use this one. This is my Unicorn Cosmetics highlighting brush, and we're just gonna put this on a face. I love this color. This is actually the one that I wore on the wedding day, because I was wearing the silver shade and I was wearing some pink and purple, and it just looked great. Actually, let me just show you that look right now. And yeah, I got so many compliments on it. Everybody loved it, and the silver shade was definitely the star of the show. And I felt like in different lightings, like you could really see the sparkle, especially outside in daylight. It looked incredible. The mattes that I used was from the Barbie palette from Ringlight, and I loved pairing some of the more colorful mattes with these neutral shimmers and vice versa, because I'm not usually the biggest fan of like all neutral looks with like neutral mattes and neutral shimmers, but mixing and matching them just worked so well, and I had a really good time playing with both of those palettes on my trip, and I felt like together they worked like a charm. I'm obviously just putting some of this on my brow bone as well, just to kind of make everything match. And I think I'm also going to just pop the tiniest amount, if I can find a small pencil brush here, just into my inner corner, just to tie it all together. just gonna layer a little bit of this actually underneath my eye as well for a pop of actual pink. But like you saw in the swatches, the silver and the pink shade are obviously very different. It just, I think it's because I paired them with sort of grayish shades and layered them over that. It's why it's pulling way more silver than it would otherwise. Like if I had paired the pink shade with pink mattes or something like that, it would look very, very pink. So I went ahead and finished off the look, and I notice now that I have a little bit of fallout on my face from the black that wouldn't really wipe away. So don't be as heavy-handed as me with the black, because otherwise you end up with black on your face, but that was totally my own fault. So to finish off, I put on some lashes. They're not perfect today at all by any means, but these are the Immortal lashes from Unearthly Cosmetics. I really do like these. I used the gel pot liner on my top as well as on the outer half of my waterline, and it actually worked really well in the waterline. I haven't tried that before. And then for the front portion of my waterline, which I don't really like having black all the way, I used a ColourPop liner in the shade Crybaby. So I wanted to kind of pull in a little bit more of that sort of pastel vibe that we have going on here. And I really like this look. I think it looks beautiful. Like, it's the kind of look that I feel kind of badass but pretty in at the same time. But yeah, let me show you the other look that I also have filmed with this palette. And I mostly used the greens for that look, and I can definitely vouch for all of the neutrals in here, because mostly what I wore when I was gone on my trip was I dipped into some of these neutrals because I knew I wouldn't have a chance to really like film a ton of looks with this palette. And so I wanted to make sure that I tested those out as well, since I had used the greens beforehand, and I just wanted to make sure that I could try everything. And this is the normal matte formula from Blend Bunny that I'm used to and I love, and it is my favorite matte formula of all time. I know I've said that many times, but I just think that they are so easy to work with. They're super pigmented, but they can also be built up and blend out, and they just do exactly what you want them to do. I've never had any problems with patchiness. They wear well on me. I just love the formula, and I think that it's the kind of palettes, all of the palettes honestly from Blend Bunny, I think that if you don't have a big collection and you want to get something that kind of covers a broad spectrum of colors, whether that be neutrals or colors or whatever it is that you are looking for, I think that if you end up getting one, if not more, of the Blend Bunny palettes, you're going to be set for a long time. Like, you're going to have everything that you need in mattes if you have the Blend Bunny palettes, and then obviously there are shimmers in there as well. But I just think that these palettes are such a good foundation for anyone who wants to get into makeup, who maybe doesn't, like I said, doesn't have a lot of makeup. Even if you do have a lot of makeup, I think that for me, like, these have completely taken over a lot of the other palettes in my collection just because of how user-friendly they are. The color stores are so easy to work with. I know I can find what I need in one of the Blend Bunny palettes, and so for me to look through like 3 of my other palettes to find exactly what it is that I want, I can just grab one of these and just be perfectly happy when it comes to mattes. And then for shimmers, I usually only use 1 or 2 in each look, so it's a lot easier to find a shimmer that's going to go with the mattes than to find mattes that are going to go with the shimmers if you're looking for something in particular. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, I've just had a really good time with this, and I think that the shimmer formula in this palette is better than all of the shimmers that she's had in her previous palette. So I love that they are continuing to improve and trying to get better all the time, because that is a sign of a good brand when they're taking in feedback and criticism and really trying to improve from one palette to the next. And I feel like every palette from Blend Bunny just keeps getting better, and I just love them. So that's going to be my review on the palettes. Like I said before, I kind of talked about the lip products already, but I really do like them. I think that they're a very comfortable formula, and I think even though my lips are super dry, they're not really clinging to like any dry patches or anything like that, and they look really, really nice. Now, they are liquid lipsticks, so they are going to be more drying than something that's not a liquid lipstick, like duh. Like, I don't need to say that, but if you like liquid lipsticks, these colors are beautiful. I think that you would like them. The gel liner is really nice as well. I do find that it's more maybe suited for doing like smudgy eye looks rather than super sharp looks, but that could also just be my skills when it comes to gel liners. I definitely find that I'm able to get a much crisper, cleaner line using a liquid liner, but I really like this as well, and I can see myself just kind of like rotating between this one and my liquid liner because it is really easy to use, and especially if you want to have like a black base for an eyeshadow look, it would be really good for that as well. So that's gonna basically be my thoughts. I love it. I don't think anybody is surprised. I do have a code with Blend Bunny. I probably didn't say that in the beginning of the video. It's just Annette and it will save you 10% off. It is affiliated. Thank you so much for when you do use my codes. It really does help me out a lot. So that's gonna be it for today. If you want to see some more Blend Bunny content, I of course have a playlist. I'll put that right there. And if you are new, don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.